Welcome to Comfort and Growth, the podcast for people who are passionate about personal growth and productivity. I'm really happy today because one of my besties is in Singapore, Craig Tunnell. Hi, Craig.
Hi, Crystal. Nice to see you.
Yeah, so good to see you. Now, I have, over the years, been fascinated by your journey. You have been a psychotherapist for 30 years and also my neighbor in Avalon when I lived in Australia for a short period of time.
That's right.
Yeah, so we know each other pretty well. So I thought we'd have like a casual sort of coffee chat with each other because I wanted to ask you more about your journey as a relationship coach and also as a psychotherapist for 30 years and also senior facilitator at the Hoffman Process. So maybe if you can start off giving me like the highlights of your career journey and like what attracted you to this.
Yeah. I never would have thought I'd be a therapist when I was 18 years old. It was really the last thing on my mind.
Yes.
And I really started off actually always quite having a spiritual type of seeking. I did a lot of yoga. I went to India.
Yes.
Studied with BKS Iyengar over there. But then I realized somewhere that the way I was trying to find things was actually a bit of a spiritual bypass. That there were a whole lot of feelings in me and patterns of behavior that really started to get triggered. And I didn't know how to be with them, didn't know how to relate to them.
Right.
And they particularly came up for me.
Can you give me an example?
Well, I would feel like I would be very sort of calm and zen, and then I would get into a relationship. And then I would start to have feelings like I might feel a bit needy or a bit vulnerable or a bit inadequate or a bit angry. And these were feelings that I'd been conditioned not to feel. And yet they were being triggered by a person that I was meant to be loving.
So what would you do?
So I would tend to shut down.
Right.
And I would start to like withdraw. They might say to me something like, so what are we going to do on the weekend? We'd been going out a couple of months. And I would go, internally I'd be thinking, they already are assuming that the weekend belongs to them.
How presumptuous. How dare they?
But of course, I didn't know how to speak about my limits or my boundaries. So I would start to shut down. Externally, I would be acting as if everything was okay. Internally, I would start thinking, I feel really trapped.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the right person for me. They're asking too much. And really, I felt quite like a victim in that whole arena of relationship particularly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was like how it started when you first realized that, oh, I want to fix this, I want to work on this.
Yeah, I think first I did a lot of my own therapy, also ended up doing the Hoffman Process.
Yeah.
And then about 2 or 3 years later, Volker, the director of Hoffman, a very good friend of mine.
Yeah, everyone knows Volker
everyone
because he's been on the
Volker.
podcast twice.
He said, why don't you train? And, part of me was terrified by that idea of, because the Hoffman is, for any of you who know it, it's a very intense environment. It's very emotional. But yeah, that was my journey, particularly into group facilitation.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe let me correct my understanding of the timeline because I had this impression that you and Volker knew each other in India and you were traveling together.
Yeah, we met
that
actually
before?
in more around Byron Bay. We both moved to Byron Bay and we knew each other through, just the environment, and we had both similar on spiritual journeys and
Right.
and at that time therapy journeys.
So
we
you
knew
were
each other
doing
through
that like before the Hoffman?
Before that, yeah.
Right.
Definitely my own work as well. Yeah.
Yes. I remember Volker telling me about like how he was around when he met Jeanette. He
Yes.
was with you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so you've known him longer than...
Yes. No,
Yes.
I was there the night they got together, actually.
I know. Okay, not suitable
I
for
won't give
podcast.
you any more
I know.
details, all right?
Volker will. It's his story.
That's right.
So how interesting. And then you started training as a group facilitator.
I did, yes. And did then also studied psychology, applied psychology. And yeah, that just really was a whole pivot of a career path for me, which really first came from doing my own work and looking at myself, which I believe any good therapist really also needs to have done their own work on themselves. It sort of gives a certain congruence
Yes.
to people who are working with you. They feel like somewhere they can feel, you've been there yourself as well. So
Yeah.
I think that's really important, would be for me.
I think what's so interesting about you and Volker and, is that like you a lot of people I feel like I see in the psychotherapy world, they kind of maybe have been taught the journey in a very academic way. They studied maybe
Yes.
psychology in university and they've gone for all this kind of stuff. But sometimes when I see them, I don't get so much of a sense of their lived experience.
Yes.
Whereas with you and Volker, there's so many stories, there's so much like richness in your sharing and your vulnerability.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I remember the Hoffman Facilitator supported John Bradshaw maybe 25 years ago. He was doing a big event in the Sydney Town Hall.
Who's John Bradshaw?
John Bradshaw, he wrote the book The Family. He did a whole TV series about the family,
Yes.
healing the shame that binds us. He was
Yep.
huge in America back in probably the 90s, something like that. Long way back now. And there was a whole group of therapists there, and there were Volker and I. And someone would start crying, and it was almost like the therapists were all shoulder charging to get the tissue to the person first. and I was turned to him and I said, some of these people are really weird, you know. I think I really try and value, I'm just being myself. Just trying to be human. I think that's much more relatable for people. You don't have to really present something that is different. It's just, I think being yourself helps people be themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Craigie, you've been working in Singapore for quite some time, many years, doing a lot
Yes.
of work with the YPO and other
Yeah.
organizations. I want to ask you, what have you noticed about Singaporeans when it comes to inner work or relationships? Any trends?
Wow, big question.
Put you on the spot. Answer it in a tactful way.
Yes, okay.
No, I mean seriously, just be honest.
No, I think it's a good question. Probably, I think compared to say Australia, for example, in Singapore there's much more, a lot more about conforming, and probably a little more control, emotional control.
Right.
And I think security. I just worked recently with a Singaporean woman, and one of the patterns she talked about a lot was just a kind of a fear.
Yeah.
Just there's this kind of fear of others almost, and I just think that's probably something I notice is a little more careful, a bit more cautious,
Yes.
probably fractionally more conservative initially, and yet it's amazing when you see them do the work.
Yes.
Is just this transformation, and that kind of essence of who they are really comes to the fore. So.
I find that having lived in both Singapore and Australia, that I think Singaporeans are more conflict avoidant.
Yes,
and they tend to
definitely.
defer those difficult conversations.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember actually doing a little bit of work for you and doing a mindful. I think they're also very. There's more value on doing.
Yeah.
I remember doing a mindfulness course, and I got people to sit and just be with themselves. And then someone said, "Oh, this is great, but are there any more slides that we can look at?"
Where are the key takeaways? Where is the cheat sheet?
And I was
Great.
like, actually, this is mindfulness, where but probably there's a more value on doing, on achieving, definitely a lot more
Yes.
valuing achievement, doing.
Yes.
Probably a little bit less valuing on just being.
Yes.
The being.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me, it's so funny. I worked for a global media company recently, and they were really, media companies, right?
Yes.
A lot of media people, the attention span is really short.
Yes.
So they wanted to see my mindfulness slides before we trained. So I'm like, mindfulness is not really about slides, right?
Yes.
But send over the slide deck. And the client feedback was like, where are the animations? And I was like, what animations? And then they sent me over the sample deck. They wanted like every slide to like split up into like a million pieces and go flying and mutate
Right,
and transform.
yes.
And every time
Yeah.
you click something would fly in and whatever. And I was like, this is like totally not
Totally.
what it's about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what are some of the biggest learning points that, pieces of advice that you try to impart to couples, particularly those in Singapore?
I think people these days are very time poor. And I'm teaching a YPO love code event tomorrow, and,
Yes.
and they typify this. I've just read people's questionnaires, and there's a lot of talk about not much time. We don't have much time.
Yes.
So a lot about not really prioritizing connection.
Yes.
And in my workshops, I often use the image of railway tracks going
Yes.
into the distance.
Uh-huh.
And I say, this is often what long-term relationship looks like.
Yeah.
We have proximity, but not connection. So we're around each other, but we're somehow avoiding even. It's not only that we're away, but also what I notice, I even notice it in my relationship, we can all be in the house and we're all on a different device.
Yeah.
And it's, you go to bed and, someone's got a phone in there. Sorry, Sue Lynn. No, but myself too. And so I think we are becoming a little more avoidant as a culture. But it's an amazing feeling when we reinvest in the us.
Yes.
I like to see the relationship as its own entity.
Yes.
And let's keep investing in the us.
Yes.
So if you don't have quantity, let's go for quality.
I think you're so right, because I have so many friends who are couples who've been married for some time, and when they go out for dinner with us, sometimes there's a lot of husband energy. I can sense the wife's energy, but there's no we energy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think we energy is something a little bit difficult to describe. How would
Yes.
you describe it?
I think it's around, probably, I use a little sort of Venn diagram thing. It's like me, you, and then us.
Yeah.
And I think I liken it to a garden that we need to, we need to invest in that garden to get flowers. We need to water it, need to appreciate it, put fertilizer there, take the weeds out. And so we can actually get something. Sort of what you put in is what you're going to get out.
Yep.
So I think it's bringing that intentionality. But, kindness, I think, is also a very underrated quality.
Right.
It's sometimes we talk about looking for love, this big hit, but it's like, how loving can I be in small moments with my partner? Am I going to get really niggly that they left something on the bench?
Yeah.
Or left their suitcase, which is usually me, in the bedroom floor? Or is it more looking for ways to appreciate that person? So appreciation is a beautiful quality.
Yes.
But presence is the other thing, really
Yes.
being present. One of the things I sometimes just do at the start of a workshop with couples is say, just take the hand of your partner and remember your first date you ever had where you held hands.
Oh.
And I get people, and I say, just touch hands really consciously, like it was the first time. And because often what happens now, 10, 15, 20 years later, is we sort of half hold hands, we've got a phone in the other hand, or we're thinking their hand's sweaty, but we're not present and invested in that experience.
Yeah.
So it's not often we have to do big ticket things. It's just, can I just be present when I touch hands? And the first time we held hands with a partner, it was mind-blowing.
Yes.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And so it's often just investing in the simple things creates more connection and more profundity in the relationship again.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm totally with you on the being present
Yes.
as well as appreciation. I feel that sometimes when I speak to my clients, one of the most common problems is that one partner may be more conscious than the other partner. Typically in Singaporeans, I hate to generalize, but I'm doing it anyway. So typically it's like, for instance, the wife, because
Yes.
in our classes, personal growth classes, normally it's like 80% female, right?
Yes, yeah.
So it's typically the wife that's done like mindfulness. So she knows how to be present.
Yes.
Yeah, she maybe has a gratitude practice and journals every day, and she's like really more into self-awareness awareness and stuff. And maybe she has a spouse that's super busy in their career and has all those societal expectations of being the provider, and she's like trying to engage this person like, do you want to
Yes.
do this journey with me and all of that. But a lot of times they write to me or they tell me, my partner's just not interested, and I don't know how I can get my partner to be present and do all these things that you're talking
Yes.
about if they don't even have that vocabulary? They don't even
Yes.
know what that means.
Yes, yeah. Is there a question?
Yes, there is. I'm throwing this over to you. There. What do you do with this situation?
Well, two things. The person in the one who's not getting enough, part of their responsibility is to speak up about that.
Yes.
And in the workshops, we teach a lot about how to speak up in a way, how to articulate that need in a way that it will land. Because often what we do around those unmet needs is we wait till they build up, and then we throw it across the kitchen bench at them in an angry way, and go, well, you're just never even there for me, and da-da-da, and, storm out.
Yeah.
But that's not likely to get a result. So it's about actually going into your vulnerability and just saying, I need to really have a bit of a sit down and talk to you, and really be able to articulate that need. And then a really important question to ask after you've articulated the need is, and how is that for you?
Right. So it's like checking in to make sure you're still connected.
Well, often, particularly a more avoidant person, like the perhaps men you were talking about, and I'm traditionally avoidant, if you hear a need from the other, you take it as pressure and expectation. So already you feel under pressure, and it's like, oh my, another thing I have to do, another thing on my list.
Yes.
Whereas often you say, this is what I need, how is that for you? And that also gives that person the chance to respond about where they are.
Right.
But the main thing for the more avoidant person is they need to also stay committed to that conversation. It's not just to go, well, look, I'm really busy, full stop. It's to go, I'm really busy, ... And yeah, I can see that's not giving you enough.
Right. ...
And I really want to look at what could I do that could make that better and still balance all the things I have to do. ... So often what happens is we start speaking in these very final kind of statements, and that's where the frustration is. It's not so much always the outcome, but the way we talk about things that builds the connection.
Yeah, so it's not about power struggle and ultimatums. It's like A expressing their unmet needs and having the responsibility to speak up, and then it's B expressing their commitment to make it work.
Yes.
And then both of them coming to a place of collaborative problem solving.
Totally. So there's a concept where they say, do you operate in the relationship as a one-person system or a two-person system?
Right.
So when you're in a one-person system, it's like, this is just what I need to do, and you've just got to fit in around that.
Yeah.
Whereas, and obviously the other person, if you're deciding where to go for the weekend, and the other person feels coerced or controlled or not heard, the person in the passenger seat isn't going to be happy, and it's probably not going to be a great weekend.
Yeah.
Because it really needs some consensus about where we go.
For sure.
Whereas in a two-person system, what you do is, this is what I am feeling, this is what I would like, but I'm equally as interested in what you're feeling and what you would like.
Yes.
So it stops that kind of my need against your need. But the bigger commitment is, I want us both to be happy.
I feel like that is such an important thing to learn. For me, unfortunately, I learned it pretty late in my mid-30s.
Yes.
I felt like that was the time where I could really be more in connection, because in my previous relationship, before that, my ex-husband and I were really competitive.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so there was a lot of power struggle.
Yes.
And there was a lot of kind of flinging, like guilt flinging or shaming on both sides. And then it became this like constant, like very tiring battle.
Yes.
And I feel with Greg, probably because he's also a clinical psychologist and whatever, he's got two magic weapons. Firstly, he knows when not to provoke me.
Yes, yes.
Or he knows, like, if I'm really being unreasonable, he knows that I kind of know it, so he doesn't escalate.
Yes.
And that's very important,
Yeah,
because
it
with
is.
me, like if you escalate, I go to nuclear really fast in the past, right?
Yes.
And then the second thing he does, which is really interesting, is that he goes into his vulnerability. And I've never seen that as a man.
Yes.
So in my previous relationships, it was kind of this weird thing where I was always very dominant. And then like, probably my partners would tend to be quite scared of me.
Yes.
And then they would kind of put up with me walking all over them, or like maybe being a little whatever, too bossy or whatever it is, and not express their needs, that I had
Yes.
said something carelessly that hurt them or whatever. But Greg, like early and often, if I say something small and it hurts him, he doesn't wait for it to build up.
Yes.
He kind of holds me accountable.
Yes.
But in a way that's more like, oh, can I talk to you about something? You know, when you made this joke about me in front of your friends, it kind of stung.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't know this was allowed. And that's when I started like really learning, like, oh shit, Crystal, you need to take responsibility
Yes.
for your stuff. But because he did it in a way that wasn't power struggle,
Yes.
because, you know, as somebody has a very big ego like me in my 20s and 30s, I totally would not have been able to hear that
Yes.
if it wasn't coming from such a place of vulnerability.
Yes, totally. No, that's a beautiful example. And what Greg didn't do there is when he got the wound from you,
Yes.
he felt that hurt.
Yes.
I use a model of 3 circles, and the outer layer is the protection layer, then the wounded layer, then the essential self.
Oh, interesting.
So he didn't fly into protection, which is what your partners and you had done historically.
Yes.
So once we go into protection, it triggers the protection of the other. So
Right.
suddenly if you get a bit sarcastic or attacking or
Yep.
blaming
Yes.
or guilt tripping, it hits the place for the other person where they
Yes.
feel under a threat.
Yes.
And then they go into their protection. They
Yes.
might be defensive
Yes.
or superior.
Yes.
And then you just get this feeling of 2 plates clashing,
Yes.
and you just feel like you're getting nowhere. You probably know the feeling. I definitely do.
Yeah, the defense, sort of like when both parties are defended and both walls come up, and
Yes.
everyone's got their AK-47s.
Totally,
It's like,
yeah.
okay.
And you're even defending yourself, even though you know probably what you're saying is wrong. You can't help defend
Yes.
yourself. You know, you're just
That's the thing.
like a cornered animal.
Yes.
And so protection
Uh-huh.
tends to trigger protection and leads to distance and
Yes.
conflict.
Right.
Whereas if we can go more into the vulnerable layer, it tends to open doors.
Yes.
There's something about vulnerability that makes the other person feel sort of less guarded, more safe, and much more likely to respond in a similar way. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a great quality we need to build, particularly when we're feeling wounded, because it's so easy to fly into the protection layer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Craig, I'm really excited to hear about Love Code, which is your body of work and your signature training program. You are going to be coming back to Singapore for quite a few times, I hope,
Yes.
to collaborate with us.
Yeah, I'd
and
love to. Yeah.
of course, you come very often for your own private clients as well. Can you take us through, like, what is Love Code, this work that you developed?
Yeah, typically it's a 2-day weekend. Some of the weekends are exclusively for couples, and others we open to couples and singles because we all need help with relationships.
Yes.
And one of the things is we're given so little education about how we do relationships. I mean, I liken it to when we're learning to drive a car. You have driving lessons with your parents or a driving instructor. You learn to parallel park. You learn the road rules, and then you do a test. Whereas in relationships, it's like, just go out and do it. It's like the Braille method. We're fumbling in the dark, you know.
Yes.
And also, often our role models weren't great.
Yes.
Or particularly with my parents.
Oh, yes.
They weren't, you know. My parents hardly ever had conflict, and then they divorced.
Yeah.
And I was like, what happened, you know?
Yes, yes.
And so I know I felt ill-equipped, and many people do feel ill-equipped to actually, how do we navigate this quite complex world of relationships? So Love Code's quite practical. There's a lot of, it's like as I said, a 2-day, generally non-residential, you come with your partner, it's very gentle because we recognize that relationships, it's quite a vulnerable area to talk about. And particularly if you come on your own to therapy, you can control the narrative. Yeah, they're really arrogant, or they're like this.
Yeah.
But if you've got your partner there, they go, wait a minute, that's not right.
Yes.
So it is, in a way, it can feel more exposing. But people quite quickly say they really feel actually quite safe in the environment.
Yes.
We make it very safe. There's no wrong. And it's quite a bit of theory, but then there'll be sort of theory, then take it away to a little practice, often in your couple. So we might practice. How do we do healthy conflict?
How do you do that with the singles if they are there?
Singles, you might find a partner, and you can either role play. This can be, how I was in my last relationship.
Right.
And so there's as I said, teaching. Then there's some exercise. Then often we bring it back to the circle, and people go. There's some sharings, and often in those sharings there's a lot of learning for everyone, because you see other couples having their conflicts or their sort of breakdowns.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that people say is, oh my God, we're not the only ones, It's happening to everyone out there.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of learning and safety in the environment. It's something that people leave feeling much more equipped. We have lots of tools, like what's a clearing communication model? How can I actually build more intimacy? So, and for me, one of the ones that was quite important for me, because I had a mother who I had to really be there for her needs. I was the eldest. My mother was quite oversharing. So I didn't really know how to say no.
Right.
And we also work in Love Code with boundaries.
Yeah, so important.
How do I set boundaries? But people often they confuse boundaries for walls, so they just put this big wall down, whereas boundaries are actually semi-permeable. I don't feel good with that, but I'm open to something that feels different. And so for me, one of the things I had to learn was how to say a loving no. So I was often very indirect. I would just say, I'm going out for a coffee, thinking, great, then I'll just go and sit out there for 2 hours and find my space again, rather than being able to just say, I need a little bit of space now.
Right.
Yeah. And so finding a way to say that loving no, and also not to manage yourself in a relationship.
Okay.
So managing looks a bit like this. It's, I will try and be the right type of person for my partner. I'll be the good partner. But what happens if we go into what we call self-presenting, it's actually not intimate. Because you're being what you think they want you to be. Right. But you're not really being true to what's you. So if they say, can we do this? And you sort of go through the motions. Yes. You will actually eventually start walling off in the relationship. Yeah. And then you don't feel too much. And then in the end, you start looking outside the relationship for your intensity. Yes. Be that through work, be that through excitement, be that through affairs, addictions, whatever. So,
is it possible to maintain that intensity in a long-term relationship?
I think it's difficult to have that first 1.5 years ripping your clothes off in the hallway type of chemistry.
I'm going to check in with Susan.
But I think you can do deep normal. I like to call it deep normal.
Deep normal, I love that.
It's like we can still do our lives, and sometimes it's a bit like we're on the boat together. We're both actually looking out at where we're going individually. Yes. But we're sharing that somewhere. And I think that's this deep normal together is a quality that's more enduring. It's not so based on the high of love. Yes. But it's a more spacious type of love.
I think, Craig, though, sometimes some of my clients, like if you're familiar with Enneagram, which you are, the Enneagram 4s, for example, right? I have a lot of them in my kind of system. Yes. And they crave that intensity, the highs, the lows, the this and that. It's almost like when there's no drama, they feel like somehow it's too flat.
Yes.
Like, have you seen that?
Definitely. And And one of the symptoms of codependency
Yes.
is a high propensity for drama.
Ah,
Because often there's a place in relationship at times where nothing much is happening.
yes.
And I believe we also have to learn to tolerate when nothing's happening.
Yes.
That often exposes places in us where we've used the love of the other person to fill certain holes within us.
Right.
And so when they're suddenly not there, they're busy, they've got to do their own thing, or they're caught in their own world, the other person feels that hole, and then they sometimes can get angry or upset.
Yes.
You're not there for me. There's quite a lot of accusation or expectation.
Yes.
And it usually pushes the other person away, or it escalates, as you said, into drama. Yeah.
Yes. Like I can see my dad does that a lot with my mom, because he goes into this very helpless thing. She loves going on holidays. My mom loves traveling.
Yes.
But like he does this whole guilt flinging thing because he feels abandoned.
Yes.
And then the classic last month, my mom said she was about to go on another holiday and he was lying on the bed looking very forlorn. And then suddenly he said, "Oh, life is very sad when you love somebody more than they love you." And when my mom told that story, my whole family we just threw our heads back. We just laughed. We were like, "Who is he talking about?
Yes.
Like, what is this nonsense?" Guilt flinging.
Yeah. One of the things we talk about in the workshop is the difference between operating from a childhood state of consciousness.
Yes.
And that's a great example.
Yes.
So in a childhood state of consciousness, it's like, you should meet all my needs.
Yes.
You need to be there when I need you. I can't wait.
Yes.
You should agree with me if you love me.
Yes. You're a bad wife if you go
That's
traveling
right.
so often.
So it's very much driven by an entitled kind of child in there.
Yes.
It actually isn't really seeing or respecting the other's limits. Whereas when an adult state of consciousness, it's a little more, and I think this is how good relationships develop.
Yes.
I can look after me when you're not there.
Yes.
It's not like I still want you, but I don't demand that you be there.
Yep.
So I can self-resource. I can regulate myself. You don't have to agree with me. It might hurt a bit when you don't agree with me, but I respect that you're different than me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to throw you one of the classic questions that I get from my
Right.
audience, which is,
Bring it on.
every week I get some variant of this.
Yes.
It's just that, I've been in a long-term relationship with my husband. He's not really interested in talking. He's not interested in therapy. I feel like, I'm at my wit's end. How can I really make it clear to him that, this is important for me? And like, if he still continues with like not wanting to talk about like the relationship, then what should I do? He's otherwise a good provider.
Yes.
And like, a good father. And I feel like it would be like a little callous of me just to be like, I'm divorcing this guy because he refuses to go to therapy.
Yeah, it's a complex one, that one.
Yeah.
But I do think sometimes you need to have a boundary, that person,
Yep.
which sometimes might even be an ultimatum. Because as long as what you are asking for from the partner is a reasonable amount, I think if you're in a monogamous relationship, I do believe you have a commitment to look after each other, because you're basically saying you're it.
Yeah.
And that's why I also think it's important to keep some commitment to sexuality, because we often, that can really also wane.
Yes.
But it's about going, no, you are it. So maybe it's not what's top of my mind, but I need to bring more consciousness to that. So perhaps you need to say, sometimes there has to be a stronger boundary, or look, if this doesn't go on, I do start considering whether I want to be here. And I'd rather not leave you. So, but I really need you to get the urgency. I just perhaps don't really feel like you're hearing me, that this is important to me.
I'm like mentally taking down notes, this script, save as, so that I can, I think that's really powerful and also skillful how you said that without blaming.
Yeah.
And without it being like triggering for the other person potentially.
Yeah. Well, the best way to share is like, I want to share what's in Craig world, or you saying, this is can I tell you about what's happening in my world?
Mm-hmm.
And if we, the way I did it there is saying it like that,
Mm-hmm.
it still might bite a little bit for the other person.
Yeah.
But deep down they can feel it's actually quite fair the way you're
Yes.
presenting that.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you do need to up the stakes because the avoidant person often really controls the amount of connection and intimacy.
Yes. Do you go into attachment
Yes.
theory? Yeah.
Yes.
So Love Code has that inside.
Yes, we also deal with more the avoidant or the used to be dependent, anti-dependent. Now
Yes.
it's more commonly called
Uh-huh.
avoidant and anxious, preoccupied, attached.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's a really big part because they have different needs. See, the wound of the anxious attached person is fear being left.
Yes.
I fear you'll abandon me. You're not going to be there. There's a
Mm-hmm.
sensitivity to rejection.
Mm-hmm.
And they can actually get quite intense around getting that sometimes.
Right.
Or they'd go into over-pleasing, putting up with too much, putting
Mm-hmm.
up with crumbs, bad
Yeah.
behavior, because often it's a self-worth issue underneath.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't feel like I can risk asking for more because I might be rejected.
Mm.
Whereas for the avoidant person, their wound is I'm going to lose myself if I get too close to you.
Mm.
So the idea of, going into a big, deep, sustained conversation or lovemaking or experience is quite threatening to them in their own way. That feels, it's almost suffocating.
Yeah.
And it's the sort of fear of losing yourself or feeling engulfed or trapped. So avoidants often have a feeling of losing my freedom or autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so their idea is I just need some space.
Right.
Yeah.
I rebelled a lot against attachment theory before because I just felt like, how can it be so simple? Like
Yes.
there's like, just like avoidant and there's like, disorganized and whatever. But like, and then the more I think about it, the more it kind of does impact a lot of things.
Yes.
Yeah. Not just romantic relationships, but how we are in connection with any person. Really.
Yes. We tend, funnily enough, they tend to find each other because the more anxious attached person is more like the glue in the relationship. If you get, two avoidants, sometimes like not much would happen. It's just a bit of text messaging,
Yes.
and we catch up every now and then. So the unowned part of the avoidant is they do have needs as well.
Right.
And the unowned part of the anxious attached person is they also need to be able to be with their own space and enjoy that as well. So
Yeah.
be able to self-resource. So
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. I've totally lost the train of my thought because I was going to ask you a brilliant question. It was absolutely brilliant. What was it about? Oh, I was going to ask you about sex.
yes, yeah,
Yes. Now, is it important to... Okay, firstly, I get a lot of questions about sex.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm absolutely no sex coach whatsoever. But, you have done some work in that regard.
yes,
Some people are able to have a very good relationship without much sex.
yes,
And they write to me and they're like, oh, maybe we have it like once every few months or so. And then I have other couples who write to me and they're like, oh, my husband wants it every day or like if not every 2 days. And I'm like, who is your husband?
Yeah.
And what does he eat for breakfast? Please give me the recipe. But, it's quite interesting. Is there like a healthy range of where you should, how much you should be having sex, and also how can couples in long-term relationships do more to revive that spark?
I think it's a great question. It's a really common one that I come across too in my work with couples particularly.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any ideal amount, but it's a place we can avoid, I think, as relationships get older,
Yeah.
because it's also there's not as much chemistry to get us over the line.
Uh-huh.
We actually have to, and then the idea of protection
Yes.
can also kind of manifest in our body.
Interesting.
And so it's almost like our body becomes a little bit desensitized.
Yeah, or defended
And
against
defended.
this. Yeah.
And then maybe we've also got a few resentments we haven't communicated.
Yes. You know what? I kind of felt this a lot when after I gave birth to 2 kids.
Yes.
I kind of felt so touched out.
Yes.
My kids were always hanging off me and breastfeeding and doing all kinds of stuff. And at the end of the day, I felt kind of defended about
Yes.
my own body
Yes.
and space.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's very common. I mean, my wife as well felt the same way. You know, particularly it's quite a painful experience, and so yeah, and then the man in that situation can also feel a bit rejected as well.
Yeah.
Of course, you have a very valid reason to feel like that, but also the feeling of rejection can come up.
Yes.
So sometimes then you have to look beyond an excitement model.
Right.
Of sexuality.
Excitement model.
Yeah.
What's the other model?
Well, the other model is it's maybe more like a type of slower, more connected sexuality.
Yes.
And this also gets more important as particularly women get older, things like perimenopause and things like that, where the body, responds in a different way. It takes longer to feel relaxed sexually. And so often it needs to be slower, more connected, more tantric, if you like, without all the woo-woo.
Without the breath work.
Yeah, like breathing.
Yes.
But you can even bring more eroticism just to your everyday.
Ah.
So one of the things I sometimes encourage couples, I say, when you go out in the day, do you give a peck on the cheek, which, is often how we do it with our partners long term. I say, this time when you say goodbye, put your lips together and hold them there for 7 seconds.
Oh.
And basically, even just doing that, just putting your lips together for 7 seconds and really feeling that, suddenly you feel like very man-woman again. It just restores that polarity again.
Yes.
Rather than it's just like, have you paid the bills? Is the avocado ripe yet?
So 7 seconds and end off with a ass grab.
You can add an ass grab. But yeah, it's like bringing, and I also notice sometimes I have resistance if there's things I haven't cleared with my partner.
Yeah.
And then Sue Lynn might go, you coming to bed? And I go, oh, just finish this show I'm watching on Netflix or something. And then I go, oh, well, she's gone to bed. I think I'll just watch the next one. It's quite addictive.
Yes.
But we prioritize not connecting. And I think part of us wants to connect.
Yes.
And then another part of us doesn't want to connect.
Yeah, you're so right.
It's a sort of a dynamic we're up again, a push-pull, yes.
Yeah.
So it's then going, okay, and then I notice when I do make love or have sex, it often feels amazing.
Yes.
And we say, we should do this more often.
You mean after the polarity, after the push-pull?
No, actually when we do allow ourselves to start, but sometimes you have to sort of get over the hump.
Yes.
It's not going to just happen.
Yes.
You have to bring that more kind of intentionality to it.
Yes.
Phones away, create a bit more of a sacred space.
Yes.
And then let's meet and be slow. One of the techniques that was developed by a guy, Snarch, from Passionate Marriage that we sort of adapted is he calls it hugging till relaxed. Because sometimes it's a bit like you come home and you go, oh my God, it's like tonight's our night, we're going to connect. And it's like another thing on my list from the day,
Oh my God.
I better tick that off.
You got to get a KY jelly.
But this hugging to relaxed is you lie together and you put your bodies together, hold each other without moving too much. And you just breathe and you focus on your own body. So you breathe, you notice your own breath, you focus on your own body. And what happens there is you actually get intimate with yourself.
Ooh.
Because so often we're just up in our head from the day. We're not really feeling anything below our neck. And kind of most of sex happens below our neck.
Yes.
And yet that's not really available,
Yeah.
So this happens, it allows you to kind of land back in yourself.
Yeah.
And then a few different things can happen. You can fall asleep. That's okay.
Yes.
You might start talking. That's
Yes.
wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Or you might start touching or making love.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a nice way to get sort of connected with you so that you can have intimacy with you, can really deepen the intimacy with the other.
Mm-hmm. So good. I love all these tips. I always learn so much from you.
Yes.
And Volker as well.
Yes.
I must actually check what you think about Volker's piece of advice that he gave me.
Yes.
So I was going through this period of time, with every relationship long term, you always have like peaks and troughs.
Yes.
So I was saying to Volker, like, I've been talking to Greg about sex and like blah, blah, blah. And then Volker's like, what do you say? And I'm like, oh, this is what I do. And I say da, 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 da. And then I express my needs. And then I say this, da, da, da. And then I say da, da, da. And Volker says something along the lines of like, you're talking too much. And he's like, stop talking about sex. He's like, it's very unsexy to talk about it. And then I was like, oh, okay. So the funny thing was that when I stopped expressing so much, maybe I was doing too much, it actually got better. But maybe the more I expressed, the kind of unsexier it got.
Yes.
Does that make sense, Craig?
Yeah. And the question is, how do I feel about that? Or
yeah, like would you also advise people like to talk about, because you said in relationships it was about unmet needs and like expressing them.
Yeah.
But in this case, I kind of took Volker's advice and stopped expressing it verbally so much.
One idea you could look at with that is we have a masculine and a feminine within us. So the masculine is more active, doing, whereas the feminine is more receptive, glowing, emotional, vulnerable.
Attracting rather than conquering.
Yes.
Yes.
It sounds like there in that example, you might have, it's sometimes I think wonderful to talk about it, but if you if you dropped more into your feminine, you might have been in your masculine
definitely
all day with your work, for example.
Yes.
And sometimes it's like, well, let's just get things done,
Yes.
But that energy sometimes for a man, if he's more in his masculine, it can sometimes trigger them and feeling a bit overwhelmed.
Right.
And they go more into their feminine. They sort of collapse a bit.
Yes.
Or they feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So a teacher, the woman who taught me a lot about relationships, said the feminine invites. So it might be more like, it would be so nice to feel you against me.
Oh my God, I've never used that formulation. You need to. I think of an invitation. I love that. I'm gonna try that out.
So it invites. And then for the masculine, when they hear that, it's like, wow, that's an invitation. The masculine loves coming forward to meet the invitation.
Yes.
So that, that would just be, it's more, a lot of it's the tone.
Right.
It's not so much the words, but the tone, the energy that we communicate from that really affects the connection.
Craig, you just reminded me of this funny thing I just saw on Instagram. And this is real, like, how to get your husband to hang a picture. So the first one is like the wife going like, honey, can you hang this picture for me? And the husband's playing computer games. He's like, and then like nothing happens. But then she comes in again and she's like, oh, I just don't know how to hang a picture.
Yeah.
And the guy puts down his thing. He's like, let me show you. And he gets his slide rule on. He's like, this is how you do it. And then you make sure your slide rule and your protractor is out and you do this with a hammer. And she's like eating popcorn. And she's like, oh, I just didn't know. And it all makes sense now. And he's like, then by the end of it, he's hung up like 5 pictures.
Yeah.
And she's like,
I mean, it's a more funny example, but it's an example of that.
Yes.
Because sometimes the polarity can get kind of switched in the relationship.
Yes.
And so that can get it can get very neutralized.
Yes. So
it's good to look for ways to really consciously go for the man, I now want to move more into my masculine. And, like even for a thing like a date, the man, I'll take care of this, I've got everything booked. You just be ready at this time.
Yeah.
And then for the woman to allow herself to be into the feminine, not kind of going, hey, why don't you take that road? It's a lot better than this road.
Have you been eavesdropping in all my conversations?
I think I've been in the back of the car.
I think you have been in the back of the car when Greg was driving. But Craig, this is so helpful.
Yes.
I'm definitely going to be taking away so many tips, particularly I think the one about like how to express my needs from more of a feminine, and
Yes.
also like how to use more of an invitational phrasing.
Yes.
That was so important. I
Wow,
really needed to
wonderful.
hear that.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks so much for joining us for this really illuminating conversation with Craig Tunnell, all the way from Sydney, Australia. And we're going to be seeing Craig back in Singapore soon for some master classes. So stay tuned and sign up for my newsletter if you haven't already, where we'll keep you informed on all our events that are going on. Thank you so much for joining us, Craig.
Thank
it
you,
was really
Crystal.
a pleasure as
Lovely
always.
to talk with you, as
Yes.
always. Thank you.
See you. Bye.